Ladies and gentlemen, prosecutions have commenced in the SkyTrain and National Service scandals. In the case of the latter, we have filed charges against the former Chief Executive, Executive Director, Osea Sibe-Ntwi, and his deputy, Gifty Owari. Charges are being prepared against the rest of the public officers and the so-called marketplace vendors. In all, we intend to file about 10 cases in the NSA scandal and will use some of the public officers and vendors as prosecution witnesses. Now, this is a strategy that is working very well for us, and we intend to continue to use that strategy. In a situation where there is a small criminal among big criminals, and the small criminal knows a lot, it is better as a matter of prosecutorial strategy to use a small criminal to get the information in order to be able to succeed, and that is what I'm doing. Also, I wish to announce that the Auditor General has conducted a forensic audit into the NSA, the National Service scandal, and the total amount of money stolen or illegally spent now stands at 2.2 billion, and not the 548 million that was uncovered by my investigators as at June 2025. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have here a copy of the Auditor General's report. Again, painstaking investigation is very important in criminal matters. And so, based upon what the Auditor General has done, and this is a forensic audit, okay? Forensic audit means that they've gone beyond what ordinary, auditing would have done. And so, we are going to, based upon this, in some cases, change the charge, amend our charge sheet in order to bring fresh charges. Investigations are still ongoing in respect of the following matters: All African Games, mathematical sets, Bank of Ghana new building, stadia renovation, and National Cathedral. In the case of the National Cathedral, we have actually requested that the Auditor General should conduct another forensic audit, and he's being held by one of the big four accounting companies to be able to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the rumble in the jungle. The buffer stock investigation, which are nicknamed the rumble in the jungle, as at March 2020, when we announced the arrest and detention of suspects Kobna Idubohi and his wife Angela Eje Boateng, the Economic and Organized Crime Office had gathered credible intelligence regarding a criminal enterprise that had been operated by the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited, Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab. Initial estimate put the amount of money pilfered by Mr. Abdul Wahab and his collaborators at the time at around 58 million Ghana cedis, far in excess of the 49 million suspected to have been stolen by Mr. Edubohi and his co-accused persons. I call the criminal enterprise operated by Abdul Wahab and his collaborators at Buffer Stock the rumble in the jungle, not only because of the huge amount of money at stake, but because of the fact that while food suppliers were wailing and gnashing their teeth due to failure to pay them for supplies to the Buffer Stock, and while our school kids were being denied nutrition under the school feeding program for lack of funds, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his collaborators were busy lawlessly looting funds meant for the program. That is jungle behavior. The informal meaning of the word rumble is to discover illicit activity or the perpetrator of the illicit activity. Through painstaking investigations, the EOCO discovered this illicit criminal enterprise run by a gang of corrupt, lawless officials at the Buffer Stock Company. On June 25, 2025, the EOCO conducted a coordinated operation based upon their initial investigations, which resulted in the arrest of Mr. Abdul Wahab, former Chief Executive of Buffer Stock, his wife Faiza Seydou Wuni, and then James Atieku, the Buffer Stock Manager for the Northern Sector, who was based in Tamale. The operation also led to the arrest of Emmanuel Atta, Head of Corporate Affairs of NAFCO. The arrest followed initial intelligence and assessment by EOCO, who suggested that while serving as CEO of Buffer Stock between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab colluded with his wife, Faiza Seydou Wuni, Richard Sam, Head of Finance, Bismarck Ousu Boache, Finance Department, and Emmanuel Atta, Corporate Affairs Manager, and others to create an elaborate criminal enterprise that was used to steal and launder public funds from the Buffer Stock Company. Within the period between 2017 and 2024, Mr. Abdul Wahab, in concert with Richard Samasanti and Bismarck Owusu-Boakye, orchestrated the transfer of 78,269,084 Ghana cedis and 4 pesos from the bank accounts of Buffer Stock Company to a private company linked to Hanan Abdul Wahab, his wife, and staff of Buffer Stock at Republic Bank and EcoBank. Evidence shows that the funds were instantly retransferred to companies owned by Abdul Wahab himself and companies and entities owned and associated with him and his wife. Similarly, evidence shows that between 2017 and May 2029, Abdul Wahab, sorry, can I have? Let me take that again. Similarly, evidence shows that between December 2017 and May 2019, Hanan Abdul Wahab transferred 5,495,780 Ghana cedis and 36 pesos from Buffer Stock Company accounts to 2 bank accounts belonging to Aludiba Enterprise, one of his companies at Republic Bank and ABSA. Aludiba Enterprise is not a registered supplier of Buffer Stock Company. Hanan Abdul Wahab between 2019 to January 2022 also orchestrated some suppliers to transfer an amount of 11,998,830 Ghana cedis, 48 pesos, to an entity owned by a staff of Buffer Stock, and later instructed the staff to retransfer the funds to a company owned and run by himself and his wife. In July 2022, investigations found that Hanan Abdul Wahab transferred 251,050 cedis from Buffer Stock accounts to another bank account at Republic Bank belonging to Energy Partners, a company co-owned by Hanan Abdul Wahab and Emmanuel Atta, the head of corporate affairs of Buffer Stock Company. Energy Partners is not a service provider for Buffer Stock. The evidence gathered so far shows that they run this criminal enterprise under the pretext of supplying food items to schools under the school feeding program. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 entities linked to Abdul Wahab and his wife were used as vehicles to receive and to launder the proceeds of crime from Buffer Stock Company. The money laundering took the form of property acquisitions across the country, including real estate and luxury goods using the same entities. The entities in question are as follows: Alkani Enterprise, Aludiba Enterprise, Energy Partners, Farhauser Ventures, Farhauser Company Limited, and Aludiba Foundation, and also, and more importantly, Sortina Enterprise, owned by a third party connected to the couple. So Sortina was owned by Atieku Apau, who was then the Northern Sector Manager of Buffer Stock. Bank documents obtained by EOCO revealed that within the period that the suspects operated this criminal enterprise, Mr. Abdul Wahab and his wife and their entities became the largest depositors at Republic Bank, and the branch was at Labone branch. Investigations established that in 2018, Sortina Enterprise, an entity owned by James Atieku Apau, applied to become a licensed supplier to the Buffer Stock Company. This application was approved by his boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab, knowing very well that the approval placed James Atieku Apau in a conflict of interest situation. Because he was the manager of Buffer Stock in the Northern Sector, he formed a company and became a supplier to Buffer Stock. So on account of that alone, I can succeed on a charge of using public office for profit. Documentary evidence from bank accounts of Buffer Stock revealed that between 2018 and 2024, Buffer Stock transferred a total of 78,369,082 cedis and 4 pesos to Sortina Enterprises bank account at EcoBank and Republic Bank, respectively. The payments were supposedly to pay for food supplies made by Sortina to schools under the school feeding program. Verified records, including weigh bills and store receipt vouchers from buffer stock, however, indicated that only 27,389,872 cedis out of the payments to Sortina were backed by supplies. There is no evidence whatsoever that the remaining 50,879,021 cedis and 4 pesos paid to the enterprise was backed by food supplies or any service rendered to buffer stock. A review of Sortina Bank's bank account revealed that the bulk of the payments which buffer stock made to Sortina Enterprises bank accounts, about 98% of the over 78 million, were instantly retransferred to Alkani Enterprise, Fahauza Ventures, and other entities owned and controlled by or affiliated to Hanan Abdul Wahab and Faiza Seidu Wuni, his wife. Under interrogation, Mr. Atieko Apau stated that although some of the funds received into Sortina's EcoBank and Republic Bank accounts were for the few genuine supplies backed by weigh bills and store receipt vouchers, in most instances, no supplies were made, but he noticed that buffer stock kept making payments to his company, Sortina Enterprise. He also admitted that other third-party companies, which our investigations have established to be licensed buying companies or suppliers to buffer stock, also made several payments into Sortina's account. He said he neither knew the promoters of these companies, nor did his company have any business dealing with them. He had no explanation as to why millions were transferred into his company's bank account, but observed that those payments, whether from buffer stock or from third parties, were made into Sortina's account on the instruction of his boss, Hanan Abdul Wahab. He further explained that whenever such payments were deposited in Sortina's account, he was prompted by Hanan Abdul Wahab to expect the transfer and was later instructed on where to move or retransfer the funds. In effect, Sortina became a conduit for Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife to steal buffer stock funds without easy detection. Transaction analysis of Sortina's Republic Bank account and entities used as vehicle to launder the proceeds of the criminal enterprise established by Hanan and his wife corroborated the claims made by Mr. James Atieko Apau. For example, a review of some of the retransfers of the funds paid to Sortina Enterprise by Buffer Stock Company revealed as follows. From Sortina Enterprise to Hanan Abdul Wahab, 60,179,137 Ghana cedis. Sortina Enterprise to Alkani, 23,913,964 Ghana cedis and 90 pesos. From Sortina Enterprise to Fahauza, 500,000 Ghana cedis. Sortina Enterprise to Chain Homes, 550,000, making a total of transfers that we've tracked, from across the bank accounts of 40,493,102 Ghana cedis and 15 pesos. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I've indicated, the proceeds of crime were used by the couple to acquire a lot of high-end luxury properties and, especially real estate across the country. Now, as is typical of all investigations conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, contemporaneous tracing of the proceeds of crime has been undertaken, and we can confirm that the couple purchased a number of high-end real estate properties from their ill-gotten wealth. The properties are as follows. 1, a 5-bedroom house bought from Chain Homes Limited between February 2019 and December 2020 at a cost of $1,625,000. Of this amount, $5,758,165 Ghana cedis, that is the equivalent of 230,841 United States of American dollars, was paid directly from the accounts of the investigated entities. The balance was paid in cash to Chain Homes by the couple. Now, in criminal investigations, when large cash sums are being used to pay, that is prima facie evidence of money laundering. In July 2020, the couple purchased a 3-bedroom house at Cantonments from Golden Coast Developers Limited at a cost of 600,000 United States of American dollars, using two of their companies, Fahauser Ventures, owned by the wife, and Fahauser Company Limited, owned jointly by the couple. The land documents were, however, registered in the name of their wife. Between October 2019 and February 2021, the couple purchased plots at Fanali's airport development site for 750,000 United States of American dollars. The total payments were made in cash in the name of Pfizer Said Wuni. We have the cash, receipts from the developer. Subsequently, in July 2021, Pfizer Said Wuni signed a contract with a construction company, Mendaha and Souza Construction Limited, at a cost of 691,650 United States of American dollars to construct the shell and the core of the building. This excludes the cost of architectural designs from Ansara Architecture Pty Limited, based in South Africa. The building sitting on Trade Plus is now estimated to be valued at 2,500,000 United States of American dollars. The couple also purchased 0.32 acres of government land from one Anthony Duke Essien, a known government land sales agent named in both the demolition of the Nigerian High Commission and the sale and demolition of the Bulgarian consulate. Duke Essien used his sister, Antoinette Chibodaku, a staff of the Dankwa Institute, as a front to purchase from the Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Lands and the Lands Commission at a price of 307,200 Ghana cedis. Duke Essien then instantly sold the land to Hanan Abdul Wahab and received about 2,567,000 Ghana cedis. The payment came from the criminal proceeds from buffer stock through Sortina Enterprise and through Alkani and Hanan himself to Anthony Duke Essien. On the instruction of his brother, Duke Essien, Antoinette then wrote to the Lands Commission in March 2020 to instruct them that the lease should be in the name of Hanan Abdul Wahab. In May 2020, she made a U-turn and wrote to the Lands Commission to withdraw the documents bearing the name of Hanan Abdul Wahab and now replaced it with the name of the wife, Pfizer Saidu Wuni. The couple developed 4 units of 4-bedroom apartments on the said land. The property is yet to be valued by our investigators. Now, ladies and gentlemen, other properties acquired by the couple are as follows. A 17-bedroom boutique hotel at Gumani in Tamale, in respect of which the couple used Fahauser Company Limited to sign a franchise with Villa Monticello for the price of $250,000. In other words, $250,000. So they wanted Villa Monticello to run it as if it is a Villa Monticello hotel. So they paid $250,000 to Villa Monticello, in order to hide the identity of the hotel. But we've been able to dig in, and we've gotten all the evidence, including all the receipts from Villa Monticello. There is a 4-bedroom bungalow situated at Jolo, Accra, valued at 4.1 million cedis. 3-story building, that is Chicken Republic, the Chicken Republic building in Tamale, situated at Estate Junction, Tamale. 5-bedroom mansion at Canville, Dorado Street, Tamale. 3-bedroom house, Palissy, Tamale. 1-story building, number 10 Selby Gardens, Achimota, Accra. Then a 0.27 acre plot of land, Estate Junction, Tamale. 0.29 acre of land, close to Workers College, Tamale. We have also frozen all these assets and will be taking steps to have them confiscated to the state in the course of the criminal proceedings. We have no doubt in our minds that these properties were bought from the proceeds of crime. When interrogated, Faiza Wuni, the wife of Anan, said she was a housewife being paid 5,000 Ghana cedis a month by the husband. So that is the legitimate income that we know. We have also taken note of the legitimate earnings of Hanan Abdul Wahab when he was appointed. His initial salary from 2017 was 14,000 Ghana cedis, a little above 14,000 Ghana cedis. He exited buffer stock in December 2024 with a salary of 28,000 per month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do your mathematics. All right, and there are no other sources of legitimate earnings apart from these that I have named. Do your mathematics and tell me, in good faith, whether a couple earning this amount of money can buy a house costing 1.6 million United States of American dollars at chain homes. That is the question, not for the gods, but for us as citizens to be able to answer, and answer very well through the accountability process. And that is why I keep saying that it is important that we we do painstaking investigations, because without the painstaking investigations that were done quietly, we started this in February. In February 2025, this investigation started in February 2025. And it is now that we have the results. As I have also told you, the oral reports are still coming into my office. Now, those who are pushing me to go to court and who are saying that by now convictions should have been obtained, I know you are Ghanaians, you have legitimate expectations of your government officials, including the president and the attorney general. But we need to do a good job. Accountability costs resources. Accountability, takes time. And so it is important that Ghanaians are patient so that we have the kind of results that I'm announcing today. Not that I will rush to court. Defense lawyers will come and raise objections, throw my case out, and then the same Ghanaians who wanted me to go to court expeditiously will now turn around and say that Ayine is an incompetent attorney general. I was never an incompetent lawyer in private practice. I don't want to be an incompetent lawyer in public service. So I want us to take our time to do the kind of work that I'm announcing today. And I want to also let you know that I'm under no pressure from any quarters to cut any deals. Mr. President, who is my boss, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, when I brief him, he gives me his blessing. He doesn't even express an opinion one way or the other. He says, Dominic, I've heard you. All right? The Chief of Staff has never put pressure on me to cut a deal with anybody. The Secretary to the President, Dr. Kalisus Mahama, has never put pressure on me. On the contrary, he encourages me. He says the work is stressful, but I should keep on. The Legal Counsel to the President, my former boss, has never put pressure on me to cut any deal. Offers have been made, and I have turned all of them down. I have told everybody, please go to the court. If you want a plea deal, I'm filing cases. In the Wuntumi case, offers were made to us for a plea deal. I said, no, I'm filing charges. If you want, announce your intention for a plea deal to the judge. That is now my strategy. The MPP took advantage of my saying that I'm open to to having plea deals to say, okay, that I was busy cutting deals in the office. No deal has been cut, and no deal will be cut except under the auspices of the court of competent jurisdiction. That is what I have decided, and that is what we are going to do, going forward.